Merry Christmas from the 13th annual Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Hit Classic, or as we say over here in the islands, Mele Kalikimaka. Look at Diamond Head and Waikiki Beach in our third place game between Utah State and Washington State, along with the coach, Tim Welch, Roxy Bernstein with you. Mele Kalikimaka to you.
I still can't get that after 4 days with you, but we'll work on it. Hopefully we're back
still got
next year.
time before the championship game.
It's a shame. This is the last day.
Yeah, it is.
Goodness.
And
All
a
right.
gorgeous Christmas over here in the islands. An interesting matchup here that we have. Utah State, the #1 three-point shooting team in America. Washington State likes to shoot threes, and some firepower on both sides. Starting with Utah State, they've had a up and down run of it so far. Didn't shoot it well against SMU. That's why they're in this third place game. And Sean Bairstow has been a consistent presence all season long for Ryan Odom in Utah State.
Well, Ryan Odom, his offense is a thing of beauty to watch. They really share the basketball. Everybody moves and cuts, tremendous spacing, but Sean Bairstow is a key. He comes out at 6'8", can run a little point forward. They really positionless basketball for Utah State. You must get into all of their shooters because everybody can shoot. They always make the extra pass to find the open man.
TJ Bamba is a do-it-all Swiss Army knife for Kyle Smith and Wazoo.
Well, TJ Bamba is a terrific scorer. Gets out in transition, kind of plays the point, he plays the off-forward spot, can play the off-guard place, but his work is going to be cut out for him today because he's their best perimeter defender, and Utah State has multiple good offensive players on the perimeter.
We mentioned Utah State, the #1 three-point shooting team in America, as they make their threes at 42.4%. They are fourth in the country in made threes per game at better than 11. And they're a very skilled team that shares the ball. Top 10 in the country also in assists at almost 19 assists a game. So Ryan Odom's offense, it's fluid and it's fun to watch.
Well, I do know this. When you break down teams and you look at their stats and evaluate their film, teams that have many more assists than turnovers are almost always good basketball teams. That's why Utah State has come out of the gate strong this season.
DJ Rodman going to work inside for Washington State and rolls it in and breaks the seal 25 seconds in.
DJ Rodman can score in a lot of different ways. They're the old school pivot, footwork, back to the basket in the lane.
And yes, he is the son of Dennis Rodman. Going inside to the 7-footer, missing at the rim, then following it up is Trevin Dorius for Utah State.
Good job by Dorius, just keeping the ball high on the inside. He had an easy one, but stayed with it. Washington State win their opener as after going scoreless against Hawaii here on Friday, Justin Towell puts Wazoo up 4-2, but tough loss for Washington State. They just were out of sorts in the game against Hawaii in the semifinals on Friday. Hawaii, as we'll see later, is a terrific defensive team, and now Wichita State cleaning up.
And just off the hands of Kamani Winsu, and it goes out of bounds to the Aggies of Utah State. As Ryan Odom, his second year at Utah State, 5 years at UMBC, of course, where he became the first coach to engineer a 16-over-1 in the history of the NCAA tournament when UMBC knocked off Virginia back in 2018.
Of course, the son of the Hall of Famer Dave Odom, the ex-coach at Wake Forest in South Carolina.
Took Utah State to the NIT. They lost in the first round at home against Oregon last year in the NIT. And up and under move, and it rolls off to the St. Joe's grad transfer, Taylor Funk.
Washington State's game plan on the offensive end early. They're trying to get the ball right to the rim and take advantage of their length and quickness.
Mohamed Gay from the outside, and the rebound grabbed by Max Shulga, the junior from the Ukraine for Utah State. Washington State, Jade Mullins hit a three with 3 seconds to go on Thursday to knock off George Washington as Mohamed Gay blocks the shot of Trevin Dorius. 3-on-2, Bamba transition three. And it's off the top of the backboard, out of bounds, and it goes to Utah State. As Kyle Smith, by the way, that is a legendary shirt he is wearing on the sidelines today.
Look at that. He's come a long way from the days being a good player at Hamilton College in upstate New York. He didn't wear one of those.
So the origins of that shirt. So we were at the Coaches versus Cancer event on Tuesday at the Outrigger Reef Hotel here in Waikiki, hosted by Iran Ganat. And we were talking about some of our Aloha shirts as Taylor Funk missing a 3, and someone that's close to the Hawaii program, a gentleman named Kimo. And Kyle remarked how much he loved his shirt and said, and Kimo told him, I'll get you one. And sure enough, Kimo gets him a shirt. Kyle Smith's wearing it here, and his team's up 6-2.
The shirt game is big over here. I didn't realize that, but I've stepped into the mix reluctantly at first, but now you've got me on board. Good job though by Bamba, taking the ball to the inside, and that's what Washington State's trying to do. And down on this end, they are really staying tight on the shooters.
And a foul, it spins out. Sean Bairstow will head to the line. It's on DJ Rod. And Utah State, a very good foul shooting team as a club, 76%. As the Aggies are 37th in the country in foul shooting, and that will send Bairstow to the line. He doesn't shoot his free throws all that particularly well, only 56%, but he gets the first one. So here's an interesting note about this matchup between Utah State and Washington State. They have not played since December of 1959. And the significance of 1959, the last meeting between these two schools, that was the year that Hawaii became a state.
Well, we'll see them later tonight. I know their faithful will be coming in strong after this game for the championship.
Mohamed Gay got in foul trouble against the Rainbow Warriors on Friday night. Off balance, well defended by Trevin Dorius. Washington State. For Utah State, they won their opener. They hammered Seattle U. 84-56. They shot 51% from the field in the game as a deep 3 from Max Shulga for Utah State.
Well, that's just atypical of what Utah State wants to do and likes to do. Just wait till you make a mistake, dribble drive into the gap off 2 feet, reverse pivot, look back outside for the open three-point shooter.
And the first 3 for the nation's leading three-point shooting team, Utah State. But then struggled shooting the ball on Friday against SMU, just could not get their consistent shot to fall as Mohamed Gay puts Washington State back on top. But in that game against SMU, Utah State shot only 38%. They were 10 for 36 from 3. And there was a shot clock issue, and that's why play has stopped here. 15-20 to go. First half, third place game. Washington State up 8-6 on Utah State. Christmas Day on Waikiki Beach. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Hawaiian Airlines. Hawaii flies with us. Mahalo for joining us on this Christmas Day. Mele Kalikimaka from the islands. Still to come, the championship game. It'll be SMU against the home team, Hawaii, in the championship game for the first time in the history of this tournament.
Had some trouble sleeping last night. Heard Santa rumbling around the hallways of the Outrigger, delivering some gifts.
You sure it was Santa?
Delivering some gifts to some of the kids from the team and the families.
A lot of people rumble around the hallways here. They're having a good time in Hawaii. And you're right in the thick of things in Waikiki. Rylan Jones, the Utah transfer. 5 to shoot. Inside. And that'll be a shot clock violation and a turnover committed by Utah State.
Washington State's doing a very good job of staying home on the shooters. Utah State is trained at the top to just get into the lane and turn, and everybody slides into open areas if your man turns his head, but Washington State's staying home.
TJ Bamba gets swallowed up in the lane, got the ball back, and a whistle, and a foul on Utah State. Taylor Funk called for his first. First against Utah State. As TJ Bamba will head to the line, we saw a lot of driving and penetrating when Washington State just had trouble running their offense against Hawaii on Friday. And the real interesting stat, Tim, from that game for me, Washington State had only 2 assists in the game Friday night.
Well, the first half, both teams had double the turnovers than the assists, and Hawaii straightened out their offense in the second half, but Hawaii's defense just smothers you. We talked about it. Ronkenot just teaches that St. Mary's Randy Bennett philosophy of force your sideline, and if you do get into the paint, don't help off the shooters. You just got to get down and dirty and play one-on-one defense.
Sean Bairstow backing down. The Aussie draws a foul. We'll get to the line. It's on Jabe Mullins of Washington State. A couple more free throws for Sean Bairstow. Bairstow 1 for 2 from the line. Double figures in now each of the last 6 games, and he got off to a slow start this year. Bairstow was in double digits only one of the first 6. And has moved into a prominent role here the last couple of years. Ryan Odom taking over at Utah State, as Sean Bairstow started only 1 game his first 2 years at Utah State. The Bairstow name very familiar in the Mountain West. His brother Cam was an all-Mountain West performer at New Mexico, now playing professionally in Australia. And his sister Stephanie also was a hooper in the Mountain West. She played at Utah State herself. Bairstow misses both. He's now 1 for 4 from the line. Stephen Ashworth coming off the bench, checking in for Ryan Odom and Utah State. And some miscommunication between Bamba and Mohamed Gay, but Mohamed Gay gets it back. Jake Mullins steps out, too strong on the 3, and the rebound, Sean Bairstow for Utah State.
Utah State known for their offense. They do a good job themselves on the defensive end, contesting shots.
And a tough shot falling down for Daniel Akin for the Aggies.
Akin bounded German down low. Nice cut and perfect pass, and took his time at the rim.
1-point lead for Wazoo. Mohamed Gay lost the dribble. Sean Bairstow moves in, open in the corner, and a 3. Pretty stroke from Taylor Funk. And Utah State takes their first lead.
Well, Funk, almost a 40% three-point shooter. No one identified him in the corner, had tons of time.
He was a prolific scorer at St. Joe's as Justin Powell answers. And Powell, after a rough game Friday night, already a couple of buckets early for the Cougars.
Ryan Odom using his East Coast connections to bring good players out to Utah State, Funk being one of them.
And Funk lost it out of bounds. It goes over to Washington State.
Utah State can score in a lot of different ways. He's on the slip. Akin looks to get the ball up on the rim. Just took his time. Might have got fouled there. Dribble drive into the gap. Some overhelp by Washington State. You got to stay home on the shooters.
Andrei Yakimovsky, who did not play in the game against Hawaii on Friday, made his season debut over here on Thursday against George Washington, called for the offensive foul and a Cougars turnover.
Number 23, Andrei Yakimovsky. His first personal foul.
Extension of the run by Yakimovsky. He's an important piece. The lack of depth is a concern for Kyle Smith, but he gives him another good, strong forward that can defend on the perimeter.
Corner 3. Stephen Ashworth, who's a 51% three-point shooter, puts Utah State up.
Constantly moving without the ball. That's what Utah State does. They don't do it with the dribble. They do it with the pass and movement.
Ashworth, who has made 3 or more threes in 10 of Utah State's first 12 games. No mystery to what he tries to do as Kalani Winsu is denied. Deep 3. That one rims off from Taylor Funk for the offensive rebound and put back inside. 5-point Utah State lead. Timeout Washington State. The Aggies getting it rolling here on Christmas in Honolulu. Gorgeous paradise. The surf, the sand, the weather. It's rough being over here.
And the hoops.
We have basketball? SMU, Hawaii, battling for the trophy in the 13th annual Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic, coming up at 9 Eastern on ESPN2. 4 o'clock tip over here in the islands for the Bows and the Mustangs, who were at one point conference rivals in the old WAC back in the late 90s and the early part of the 2000s. And that is the championship tonight here at the Diamond Head Classic.
Well, SMU's got some terrific guards, Zerk Phelps and Zach Nuttall, and that's 6'3", and Hawaii's guards are a little bit undersized, 5'10" and 6'2", but they can play defense, McClanahan and Coleman, so a really good matchup at the guard spot tonight.
Utah State has made 5 of their last 6 shots after starting just 1 for 5 from the field. Andre Yakimovsky trying to drop it off from Muhammad Gay, but it goes out of bounds. The Cougs turn it over. That's already 4 giveaways by Wazoo.
Yakimovsky just kind of over-penetrated, had his head down. He wasn't aware of the defense or where he was on the floor.
And again, he just made his season debut over here on Thursday, so he's still trying to find his game speed and rhythm right now.
Yeah, I think it's important Kyle Smith got him in the game early. That's what he's probably trying to do, get him a better feel so he can help him not only tonight, but moving forward.
Jabe Mullen steps into a 3. Had a good look. And nice job, Stephen Ashworth poked it away from TJ Bamba. And an errant pass stolen by Justin Powell. Extra pass, TJ Bamba. Controlled by the Aggies.
Utah State doing a very good job of contesting on the perimeter.
Daniel Akin. Kick out. Max Shulga steps into a 3. Shulga makes it 6 out of 7 for Utah State. The Aggies on an 8-0 run, 13-2, and they're up 8.
Well, here's the deal with Utah State shooters. The nice backdoor cut by Bamba is that they get you leaning off balance. They're terrific with their footwork. And you might say defensively, we've got to get up in them, but even when you're up in them, they get you leaning back with a little head fake, and boom. That's a tough cover for Gay out on the perimeter against a guy like Shulga.
Max Shulga, the native of the Ukraine. He's from Kyiv. And I talked to him last March around their NIT game when they hosted Oregon. And it really is a remarkable story, of course, what his family is going through back in their native country. They are from Kyiv. And when the invasion and conflict began, his family, for the most part, was looking to get out of Kyiv. His mom and sister, well, his sister was in school in Spain. His mom went out to the western side of the Ukraine. And Dad initially was thinking about going over there, but then stayed in Kyiv. His grandparents, who lived right near an army base in Kyiv, were adamant they were not leaving their home. And they've stayed. Both his parents are back in Kyiv. His sister goes to school in Spain right now, but they're doing okay, and it's, I think, a little bit easier right now for Max Shulga. I wouldn't say it ever gets easy considering what's going on, but I think it's somewhat of a relief knowing things are okay on the home front.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to think about what those people are going through, but then it really hits home. We see the pictures on news channels every night, but you hear personal stories from people that have family there. It's just incredible, the intestinal drive these people have and courage.
Fouled and one. DJ Rodman got knocked to the deck.
Rodman is such a smart player, but he's crafty, he's got good footwork, but he's also rock tough, and he's not afraid to take one and finish amongst the trees at the lane.
His mom, Michelle, likes it. Just in case you wanted to identify her. Yeah, that's her. And I think that the hat was a pretty good giveaway to everybody. DJ gets the roll in the free throw, and also sitting with mom, Michelle, over there is DJ's sister, Trinity, who is just a wonderful soccer player. In fact, she's on the women's national team for the United States, plays in the NWSL, signed the richest contract at the time in league history. And there's a foul against the Cougars. And of course, DJ Rodman was just called for the foul. Son of the 5-time NBA champion, 2-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year, Dennis. There is sister, Trinity, with the U.S. Women's National Team on the down right side of the screen.
DJ certainly learned his lessons well. Growing up in the Rodman family, all the excellence.
Foul over the back on Shimon Zapala, the native of Poland, for Utah State.
But DJ's more of a guard, swing man, but he does the dirty work, kind of like his dad used to as well.
DJ, a lot of the time, is in the right place at the right time for Washington State. Deep three. That's off from Justin Powell, and it goes out of bounds to the Aggies. Cougs still looking for their first three. They are 0 for 7 from downtown, while Utah State, again, the #1 3-point shooting team in America at over 42% as a club. They're 4 for 6. It's only a 5-point game. Utah State with 6 turnovers already as the turnaround rattles out for Z Hamoda, the native of Bahrain, and a foul committed by the Aggies, and it's on Shimon Zapala, his second.
Ryan Odom going to the bench early with the 3rd game in 4 days, and gotta break down these trips in these tournaments are so much different than what you're used to during the regular season. Obviously the travel, and then the back-to-back, and one day off, and how much do you practice in between, and your shoot-arounds are thrown off. But one thing I've seen all coaches do smartly is go deep in their bench.
And a foul at midcourt, and stepping in front was Max Shulga, and the foul is on Carlos Rosario of the Cougars. First on Rosario, 5-point lead, Utah State. The Aggies and the Cougars in Honolulu. Santa gathering the kids on Waikiki. Mele Kalikimaka to the young fans. I didn't know Santa could play the violin.
He looks a little thin to me. You invite him over for dinner
Santa's been on a
tonight.
diet this year, I think. He's trying to slim down. And the longer it goes, he's got to move around quicker and quicker.
There you go.
Mele Kalikimaka from the 50th state. And by the end of the night, Tim, I will teach you how to say Happy New Year in Hawaii.
I'll go home with a wealth of knowledge.
We got to get Mele Kalikimaka first. Floater from Z Hamoda. And then he can't get the follow. Mohamed Gay rips it down for the Cougars. Justin Powell, and a welcome sight for Kyle Smith after the struggles he had against Hawaii.
Washington State, Utah State went underneath the ball screen on Powell. They've got to stay on top. They can put it on the deck.
And a 3. That one too strong from Sean Bairstow, and hustling as Andrei Yakimovsky goes crashing here into the seats. And it stays at this end with Utah State.
Well, I thought we'd see more points. Both teams kind of getting up into each other, doing a real good job defensively. At times, though, the spacing has been a little lacking on both ends.
Rylan Jones back in the game for the Aggies. RJ Idlerock followed Ryan Odom from UMBC. As Rylan Jones, the pull-up, and the offensive rebound by the 7'1" Trevin Dorius. The kick out to an open three for Stephen Ashworth, his second three.
Now that's a well-schooled basketball team. First of all, they moved it side to side, right to the end of the clock to get a good shot. But on the offensive rebound, Dorius did a nice job of turning, pivoting, and finding the open man on the perimeter.
5 threes now for the Aggies.
That's something that Kelvin Sampson has done for years with his team at Houston.
TJ Bamba will get back to the line.
What Kelvin Sampson has done at Houston, a lot of coaches have copied it, is get the offensive rebound. You're not trying to go back up with it. Immediately turn and look back outside for the open three-point shooter. And the shooters on the perimeter are schooled to slide into an open area, not just stand and watch, but try to find a good passing angle from the inside back out.
Not too long ago, Kelvin Sampson's Cougars won this tournament. And Kelvin Sampson, also a former Washington State head coach. So far, the three-pointers are the story, which Utah State is known for. And they struggled shooting the ball against SMU, and that's why they're not in the championship game. But they've got their long-range shots falling so far in this one.
Well, SMU's guards really are physical defensively. They got up there right up in Utah State's chest on the catch.
Freshman Adrame Jong, 7-footer from Senegal, is in for Kyle Smith in Washington. There's a wild shot, and the loose ball picked up as Stephen Ashworth's miss, and Trevin Dorius will get to the line for Utah State.
Well, Dorius was bound and determined to get that ball up over his shoulders and on the rim. He really had no room in there. Washington State, all they had to do was kind of build a mini wall in there, and he was moving to take an off-balance tough shot, but instead they reached in.
So Trevin Dorius, who got married after last season, got married in May. And one more shot for Dorius, the 7'1" senior, as opposed to his fiancee Kelly. Right around this time a year ago, it was last December. And Dorius, an interesting story that out of Wasatch Academy, went to Utah State for a season and redshirted before going on his LDS mission, then came back to Utah State after the church mission in Scottsdale.
Nice soft touch from the big man.
Largest lead for the Aggies has been 8. And a 7-point lead right now, approaching 5.5 minutes to go first half. Rodman trying to get inside, has it knocked away, and bodies go crashing. And Rylan Jones controls for the Aggies.
A bit too much dribbling by Rodman in traffic, got himself in trouble.
Rylan Jones, the kick. RJ Idlerock double clutches, then fires and hits.
Idlerock hasn't taken many threes on the season, but that time he was a little hesitant. He was going to reverse the ball and said, no one's coming to get me. Let's go.
So a Utah State team that began the year 9-0, and losing 2 of their last 3, coming into this matchup unbeaten until they lost at home to Weber State. And a foul committed by the Aggies. Then Utah State winning their opener here against Seattle before falling on Friday to SMU.
Now, one of the best starts in school history, and Ryan Odom, in quick fashion, got this program contending for the Mountain West again this year.
And the Mountain West off to a good start, Tim, when you look at, they had 3 teams in the league were the last of the unbeatens. When UNLV and Kevin Kruger's team had a good run until they were upended at home by the USF Dons. Utah State began 9-0 before losing to Weber State. Of course, New Mexico, and they were unbeaten. Richard Pitino on Iona's way out here got the better of Dad as they beat Iona at the pit.
There's Leon Rice, a consistent winner at Boise State. They've got a good club again.
Brian Dutcher at San Diego State, too.
Excellent conference. It really is. And speaking of that, I want to say congratulations and best wishes to a good friend who we saw yesterday, outgoing commissioner of the Mountain West.
Craig Thompson and Gloria Navarez, who is the West Coast Conference Commissioner, will succeed Craig Thompson, who is over here not only checking out Utah State, but San Diego State in the Hawaii Bowl, which was played just about a pitching wedge away from the Stan Sheriff Center. They go inside to Trevin Dorius, who drops it in.
I asked Craig what he was going to do. He said nothing. And his wife said, no, you're not. You're going to do something. That's always the dilemma. Well, he's too smart and too young to not do anything, because someone will grab him as a consultant or of some sort, because he just had an outstanding career building that league.
And it rolls in for Mohamed Gay, and the Cougars need to have him get going.
But Gay spent a lot of time on the perimeter so far today. He's got to go back inside and do his work.
Rylan Jones giving the hoop, goaltending. Basket interference on Carlos Rosario as Rylan Jones puts the Aggies back up 10.
Well, Rylan Jones and company getting things going from the three. Watch out when Utah State gets hot.
Look at the Outrigger Hotel overlooking the Pacific in Waikiki Beach. Just a couple of miles from the campus of the University of Hawaii at Manoa, the site of the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic and the Outrigger Reef Hotel, home to a number of teams this week. As you look at Chris Jones, that's him on the left, the father of Utah State guard Rylan Jones, and Chris Jones, who's very familiar with the landscape of college basketball, having been an assistant coach at both Utah State and Utah. In fact, was on Larry Kraskowiak's staff recently, and when Rylan began his college career at the University of Utah, and then changing coaches, and former Utah State coach Craig Smith, now the head coach at Utah. And it's almost as if there was, like, I know we have the transfer portal, but it was almost like there was a trade, Tim, between the two schools, because essentially the point guards got traded for one another, with Rylan Jones going from Utah to Utah State.
Well, I got to talk to Chris Jones a little bit the other night, talking hoops, talking Utah State, talking to his son. And you can always tell the coach's sons when you look at the stat line. Rylan Jones got a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. He was brought up to not turn it over and be fundamental.
It's funny how all the parents are like tapping at Chris Jones over there, and he's so locked in on the game.
Oh,
he's not even breaking stride.
Saw him before the game. He had the look of a worried parent and an ex-coach.
Sean Bairstow in the corner, another three. 7 threes for Utah State, their largest lead.
Well, Utah State is doing a good job, and Washington State has to make a halftime adjustment. They're turning away from the shooters in the corner. They're over-helping. They're kind of in no man's land, and it's not allowing themselves to get out quickly to contest. That time, Rodman got caught ball watching.
Dylan Darling in the game, freshman from Spokane for the Cougars, and a nice drive and finish by Dylan Darling.
Well, Darling showed me a lot of toughness this weekend. He's a guard, but he likes to go inside. He can even defend bigs at the rim.
And the toughness shouldn't surprise anybody, considering his dad, James, played 10 years in the NFL, a former standout linebacker for Washington State. Rylan Jones moving in, gets to the basket, and the scoop by Rylan Jones answering for the Aggies.
Well, that time was a good read by Rylan Jones. Washington State was tight all around the perimeter, not giving help off the shooters. That time it was like one-on-one in your backyard.
Mohamed Gay trying to go to work. TJ Bamba leads the Cougars with 8. And a foul, and cylinder violation, essentially, as the player's entitled to a cylinder and you can't invade that. That's what Utah State did. And that will put TJ Bomba at the line for the Cougars here with inside 2 minutes to go until halftime. And it's the second on Stephen Ashworth.
Utah State on the year, giving up over 70 points a game, and not obviously known for their defensive efficiency, but for their offense. They averaging 85 a game. We see the high percentage of assists to turnovers and the threes, 10 or 11 a game, but their defense tonight has been really, really good against Washington State.
One more for TJ Bomba. This will be his 10th free throw attempt of the first half. I can just hear Bill Walton now in my head. What's the record for free throws shot in the first half of a third-place game at the Diamond Head Classic?
Bill's a big analytics guy, isn't he?
Right up his alley. Yeah. And now a switch up in the defense. Cougars going zone.
Yep, Washington State, they'll go to the 3-2 zone, change up the rhythm, but you got to be careful. You better move on the pass because Utah State really moves the ball.
And offensive foul.
No, we said
and Ulakin called for a second.
We said it the other night. DJ Rodman does the little things that don't show up in the stats, and here takes one right in the chest.
Rodman draws the charge, and it's a turnover for Utah State. Aggies are up 11. They've led by as many as 13. And the difference is three-point shooting. Utah State is 7 for 10 from 3. Cougs are 0 for 7. Mohamed Gay with the left hand, and good box out inside, and the rebound Max Shulga for the Aggies.
Torres did a good job building the wall, contesting the shot.
Great pass by Ryland Jones, a reverse to Taylor Funk.
Do they know each other or what? This team is a well-oiled machine on offense, always with their head up, cutting back door. Good delivery by Jones.
Mohamed Gay missing from the elbow, and the rebound by Sean Bairstow. Here's Jones again penetrating. And the rebound grabbed by Kamani Winsu for the Cougars, but falls right back to Utah State and Taylor Funk.
Utah State at both ends, just energy, peskiness, and toughness in the lane.
Cougars need a bucket here to get some momentum going into the locker room. It's been a rough first half for Washington State. And a foul, that'll get him some free throws, and Trevin Dory is called for the foul. Ryan Owen a little frustrated with that foul, considering if you get a stop here, you're up 15 now, you give him a chance to get some points here and cut into this lead with 14.9 left in the half.
Well, again, you don't want your bigs committing fouls, denying at the foul line area, coming from behind. There's no reason Doria should have got his hands involved in that pass.
One more for Winsu, the freshman from France. Averages 6 points a game. Good foul shooter, 80% on the year. And rolls in for Kamani Winsu. 5 seconds in the half. Max Shulga. Step back on a 3. That one rims out. DJ Rodman grabs it. That'll take us to halftime. But a first half, if you're Ryan Odom, you're pretty happy the way your team's playing the first 20 minutes.
Well, especially the way they played against SMU 2 days ago. They really were struggling from the perimeter. They've got to make their shots to win, but they've had good balance. They've gone inside, and their defense has been really, really good.
And the three-point shooting has been phenomenal. The #1 three-point shooting team in America. Utah State, 7 of 11 from 3, shooting 53% overall from the floor, and a 13-point Aggies lead at the half. Coming up after the break, we'll stand into the studio. Third place game in Honolulu. Hanomoku. on top of Waikiki Beach with the coach Tim Welsh, Roxy Bernstein with you, Melikaliki Maka. And Utah State found their three-point shooting after struggling on Friday against SMU from long range. The #1 team in the country in three-point field goals makes 7 in the first half.
Well, the thing I was impressed about Utah State, right out of the gate, they played good, solid, strong defense, limited Washington State to one and done, and that got them in a rhythm for their offense. They pushed the ball at the floor. They got to their spots for the threes early before Utah State could get their defense set, and Utah State never could get comfortable defending. Washington State could never get comfortable defending Utah State from the perimeter. They're a hard team to guard. The ball's constantly moving. They have excellent spacing, and they totally share it and make the extra pass.
And the assists, Utah State 11 on 16 baskets in the first half. And the ball movement was an issue for Washington State. They only had 2 assists for the game against Hawaii here on Friday. And Ryan Odom's defense, you talked about it, holding Washington State to 39%, and the Cougs were 0 for 7 from 3.
Yeah, Washington State just couldn't get into a rhythm. When teams start draining threes against you, sometimes that deflates you. And Washington State's got to come up, do some things with their defense to start, and they do.
A steal by TJ Bamba, 2-on-2, goes by Funk, and then draws the foul on Taylor Funk. And it's the second, and Bamba, who shot 10 free throws in the first half, aggressive and going right back to the free throw line to start the second half.
Well, that's why Washington State's got to open up things on the perimeter. They have to continue to drive the ball into the gut of the defense, and then hopefully Utah State for them Washington State will open up the perimeter.
One more for Bamba. From the Bronx, although went to Senegal, then came back to the United States. And then finished up high school in Denver before heading up to the Palouse.
Ryan Odom, it's a nice luxury with Stephen Ashworth with some foul issues to have a guy like Rylan Jones can start the second half and kind of play the clock game, but a real efficient backup point guard.
Rylan Jones was in the starting lineup for Utah State until he missed a few with a concussion. As Funk on the drive and known for his three-point shooting, but Taylor Funk drives to the basket. And it's once again a 13-point lead for the Aggies, who led by as many as 15 in the first half.
And when you have a guy like Rylan Jones on your team, you don't really think of him as a backup. You think of him as a second starter at the point in there, poking the ball away from behind. Really a smart player.
Rylan Jones, a 2-time Utah Gatorade Player of the Year before he went to the University of Utah, now transferred up to Logan. As here comes Utah State, and good ball movement and transition from the Aggies in the reverse. Sean Bairstow.
Well, that's what happens sometimes when you force the issue on the offensive end, and it wasn't a good shot by TJ Bamba, and everyone just kind of stood and watched, and Utah State was flying up the court.
Gets the roll.
It's the second time that Trevin Dorius took a step back from Gay. He's got to get closer to him in that foul line area.
Max Shulga. All the way to the basket, and one for Max Shulga. Drew the contact and finished. And it's on TJ Bamba of the Cougars.
This team must be fun to coach because they are very, very intelligent. Ryan Odom's a terrific coach, but these players just understand they never force the issue on the offensive end. And here, Shulga kind of throws his body into Bamba, but Bamba doesn't have good legal guarding position, hence he draws the foul.
Shulga, 84% foul shooter. Both these teams were in the NIT last year as Utah State lost their first-round matchup at home against Oregon. And Washington State, they went all the way to Madison Square Garden, losing in the semifinals to Texas A&M. Final four of the NIT last year is the miss from Justin Powell, and loose underneath, and it's controlled by the Aggies.
I know Kyle Smith is a program builder. He's successful at Columbia, San Francisco, and now doing this thing at Washington State.
22 wins last year for the Cougars as the miss from Taylor Funk. Taylor Funk, who had a great run at St. Joe's before grad transferring out west. Bamba fires a three, and the first three of the game for Washington State.
Ryan Odom upset that Sean Bairstow at 6'8" allowed that jumper right in his face.
And now the zone again from the Cougars.
Sometimes a zone is a smart move against a great shooting team because they never face a zone because everyone's afraid to play it because of their three-point ability.
And a foul will send Trevin Dorius to the line. The reach in, the first on Mohamed Gay.
Good delivery by Ryland Jones. And the thing about Utah State, very well schooled again, not just forcing threes against the zone, they go right inside.
Trevin Dorius, he'll shoot two. He's 2 for 2 from the line in this one. 6 points, 3 boards for the 7'1" senior. And one more coming. Finally becoming a starter here in his senior season for Utah State. At 4 career starts heading into this year. And the second one rolls in. Washington State get going. Team that makes the most threes per game in the Pac-12, but they've only made 1 in this one. That's been a staple for Kyle Smith. 3-point shooting everywhere he's been, whether it's at USF, whether it's at Columbia, as Andre Yakimovsky launches that one. And hustling is Sean Bairstow for Utah State.
Well, Utah State right now, denying ball reversal, they're getting out in the passing lanes and really giving Washington State some problems.
Taylor Funk in the corner, rattles out. It's Taylor Funk. He has made 309 threes in his college career. He's 3rd in St. Joe's history in three-pointers made. Is the strong finish and one for Andre Yakimovsky.
Yakimovsky just good job moving without the ball. This is what he does. He reads the defense, just a little simple back cut, good pass, and he's got that strength to finish after the bounce.
One shot for Yakimovsky. His first trip to the line this season, the junior from North Macedonia, missed the first 10 games of the year with turf toe. Made his season debut against George Washington here on Thursday. Did not play against Hawaii on Friday. And he gets the N1 to pull the Cougs within 11.
Managing his minutes, you know, back-to-back games. They need him for the long haul. You see what a valuable backup he is at the forward spot.
And Washington State will open up play after this tournament and get back into conference play. They played 2 league games already in early December. They lost them both. They lost at Oregon and an overtime ball game against Utah. Ryland Jones called for the block. But Washington State will host UCLA coming up Friday in Pullman, where it's a little bit cooler in Pullman right now than it is here in the islands.
Groundhog Day, 82 and sunny.
The College Football Playoff semifinals and the College Football Playoff National Championship on ESPN.
The College Football National Championship Monday, January 9th. The College Football Playoff about a week away. Mele Kalikimaka from Honolulu. You got it now?
I'm ready. I'll have a quiz.
Okay, say it. Come on,
games.
let's go, Tim.
Focused on Utah State's defense.
Carlos Rosario nice to the basket, and Washington State's cut it to single digits.
Good little screen-to-screener play coming out of the timeout for Kyle Smith. He'll take anything at this point because it's been a struggle offensively.
Clean look at a three, and it goes. Sean Bairstow, his second three.
The little pump fake to get the defender off balance, steps through, steps behind the line. Great footwork.
8 threes now for Utah State. Mohamed Gay can't handle the pass from Justin Powell.
State staying in the matchup, doing a good job of extending on the perimeter.
And foul called. They're getting Andre Yakimovsky for a push as he was seeing Sean Bairstow may have been teetering over that sideline and tried to help him into the bench.
Well, the thing about Utah State, what they will do, as any good team will that has excellent passers and shooters, is they're not just going to pass the ball around the perimeter. They're going to try to attack the zone from the inside out.
Going inside, and a foul will send Trevin Dorius to the line for Utah State. But again, the ball movement, which you talked about, how quickly Utah State moves it.
Well, they do a great job of not only spacing the floor and moving it from side to side, and no ball sticking with Utah State, but their footwork is terrific. You know, they play off 2 feet. They always have their head up, and when they're driving into the gap, they're not necessarily looking to score. They're looking to get the defense drawn into the middle and then kick it back out for the three-point shot.
Dorius 3 for 4 from the line. Women's college hoops, a top 20 matchup for you Thursday night on ESPN2 and the app. As Angel Reese and number 10 LSU unbeaten, they'll face a tough test in Samara Spencer and number 17 Arkansas. Coverage at 7 Eastern from Bud Walton Arena in Fayetteville. Women's hoops conference play will start for a lot of leagues, resume for some others, as Trevin Dorius gets 1 out of 2. And it's a 13-point lead again for Utah State, who's led by as many as 16. And a foul on the perimeter is on Sean Bairstow of the Aggies. Utah State, they'll open up league play. They'll host Fresno State. Justin Hudson's team will head up to Logan for a New Year's Eve battle to get Mountain West play going. And this is kind of like the run-up, final last hurrah for non-conference play for the most part until league play starts.
Well, you know, it's cliche to say, okay, you have to win 2, but winning 2 is better than 1. That's obvious. But it's about feeling good about your team coming out of here and learning a lot about your team. I always felt these tournaments, you figure a lot of things out. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but know what you need to work on between now and your first conference game.
Like Rick Pitino, his Iona team, they lost their first game here. They're going to leave here feeling pretty good about themselves after winning 2 straight. As across the key, tough shot, Max Shulga. And now a technical's been called on Shulga. He's frustrated he didn't get a foul call and the and 1 opportunity, and he got whacked with a technical after making the basket.
Well, he may in fact got touched a little bit, but nothing to write home about. Barked at Don Daly, and that's something that you're not going to do.
And he's been thrown out of the game. 2 technicals on Max Shulga. The frustration's getting the better of him. And I'm guessing he was not saying Meli Kalikimaka to Don Daly.
Now this is surprising that we're seeing this ejection, but Don Daly is a veteran official. He's going to come over and explain it to us.
So the ejection, 2 technicals for Shulga. He voiced his frustration about not getting an and 1 and a foul on the shot, and then continued the dialogue. And that's what earned the ejection for the ball game.
Not much else to say, except that Ryan Owen clearly lost a good player for the last 13:57.
And also it gives free throws, 4 of them to Washington State, and the Cougars will have the ball. Powell now 3 for 3. It's Justin Powell, 2-time transfer, began his college career at Auburn, then to Tennessee, and now Washington State. He hits all 4 free throws, and now it's down to 11, and the opportunity for a 6-point, maybe even a 7-point possession for Washington State.
Well, one thing I used to do, Roxy, and this is a true story, is that the guys that I used to have that were from foreign countries, I said, if you ever get upset, Just talk to the officials in your native language. You can throw it out there, and they can't get you for that. But unfortunately for Utah State, Juliko's gone, but they've got backups. But he's an important player, not only
unless Don Daly speaks Ukrainian.
Oh, exactly. Never know.
Which I'm guessing no, but I don't know. That's to be certain. DJ Rodman up and under in the lane, and he draws the foul on Taylor Funk, number 3 on Funk. And Rodman at the line, he'll shoot 2 here. And the free throw shooting, that's the only thing really keeping Washington State in this game. The Cougs are 18 for 20 from the line. Rodman 1 for 1.
The only bad part of that advice that I just explained to you that I gave our players, that one year we had 2 guys from Lithuania, and they used to talk to each other in Lithuania in practice about me. And I'm not sure it was all good.
Did you get your own interpreter?
When they were mad at me, that's what they went to the Lithuanian arm of language.
It ends up being a 5-point possession for the Cougars, as Rodman makes 1 for 2. After Justin Powell made all 4, and it's now a 10-point game. Rylan Jones gets inside. Taylor Funk wide open. 3. Boy, you can't leave him that lonely over there.
This Utah State team, their offensive philosophy reminds me of Jay Wright's teams at Villanova. They space the court, they really move the ball, they wait for you to make a mistake and turn your head, and then they find the open man on the perimeter.
Carlos Rosario answers with a 3 of his own for the Cougars.
Those 4 technical free throws and a couple made buckets, a little bit more hop in their step. Washington State.
Rosario just his 2nd, rather 3rd made 3-pointer of the season as Utah State attacks inside with Daniel Atkins.
They're just so hard to defend. They've got 5 out, and they dribble drive into the gaps because there's a lot of space to operate, because you have to pressure them on the perimeter, and then they make the extra pass if you don't drop and fill.
Powell short on that 3, had a good look. Mohamed Gay the offensive rebound. And then a foul is called against Utah State, and that's the 3rd on Daniel Atkins.
What we were saying about their spacing is their ability. They move the ball via the pass quickly, and then they get into the gap here against that zone, and nobody rotates down on the backside. Gay had to come over and help, and nobody filled his spot in the back of the zone.
15 assists on 23 baskets for Utah State. That's a pretty good percentage.
Back in the old days, facing John Beilein and his West Virginia teams, very similar. Just the ball never hits the floor. Everybody can pass. Everybody can shoot. Real easy to score when you have the talented players that are unselfish.
1 more for Mohamed Gay. 65% foul shooter. He had a season-high 21 against George Washington here Thursday, and now has 8. And again, a 10-point lead for Utah State. Max Schulze has been ejected after 2 technicals here in the Christmas Day matchup, and the floater from Sean Bairstow.
Not much wasted motion there. Everybody with their head up. I'll pass it, you finish it, then take turns every time down the floor.
Justin Powell to miss. And that's a foul on Jabe Mullins. And they're going to review it to see if it warrants more than a common foul, as Stephen Ashworth on the drive seemed like he was almost hog-tied by Jabe Mullins. 3rd place game in Honolulu. Mele Kalikimaka from both sides. So during the timeout, Jabe Mullins, who committed that last foul on Stephen Ashworth, it was determined this foul is a flagrant 2. And the officiating crew, after reviewing it, determined it was violent, aggressive, and no play on the basketball. And therefore, it was upgraded from a common foul to a flagrant 2, which means a disqualification for Jabe Mullins in this game.
Well, it's I don't know if it's brutal, dangerous, abusive conduct, the severity, injury potential, all of that's probably there. I highly doubt that Jabe Mullins was trying to grab Stephen Ashworth by the neck, but that's what happened.
So Jabe Mullins disqualified. He was the guy that hit the winning shot on Thursday in the game for Washington State against George Washington. That three with 3.1 seconds remaining to lift them into the winner's bracket in that quarterfinal matchup. As Stephen Ashworth hits 1 of 2 on the flagrant 2 call against Jabe Mullins, and it is a Utah State ball after the flagrant 2.
Well, that's a hard one to swallow if you're Kyle Smith, because you know the type of kid Jabe Mullins is. You know, he's a smart basketball player. He's not going to make a play that hurts his team, but sometimes these things just happen throughout the course of the game because of the intensity of the offense, and you're trying to slide, you're trying to get back in the game, and your hand just gets caught up into underneath the guy's neck.
So the teams in the holiday spirit, at least, in terms of giving. Or maybe the referees are giving team an ejection.
Mullins and Shulga both out of the game.
Back to a 15-point Utah State lead. Kamani Winsu. And a charge called, offensive foul on Winsu. As Rylan Jones, who led Utah State in charges drawn last year, draws another one right there. And you figure that's the son of a coach, the way he was able to play that defensively.
Well, he's 6 feet, and he's guarding somebody 6'6". He gets in a legal guarding position. He has his hands up. He slides and takes one right in the chest. As just his dad taught him, probably when he was about 6 years old. He was taking charges in the driveway.
I don't know about in the driveway, but he clearly learned how to defend from dad. Nice pass by Jones, and the lay-in, Trevin Dorius.
Jones and Ashworth are in there together. They've got 2 point guards that just know how to play.
Largest lead for Utah State. DJ Rodman open for a 3, it rattles out. And there is Stephen Ashworth grabbing the loose ball for the Aggies. Rylan Jones, transition 3. Timeout Washington State, and Utah State. 10-0 run. They've made their last 8 shots. And Utah State is 10 for 15 from 3.
Well, you've got to get back on defense, and you've got to pick the ball up, and you have to identify that pretty much everybody in blue can shoot the rock. Jones is playing tonight.
Well, Rylan Jones, a big part of this run for Utah State, doing it at both ends of the floor as the Aggies on a 10-0 run.
Well, you've seen him take charges, make the extra pass, run the team, defend bigs and littles, and make some shots. And for Chris Jones, no smiling. Ex-coach.
He's locked in.
He's locked in. Dad's locked in.
Look, he missed 3 games recently. Rylan Jones suffered a concussion. And I think it knocked everything out of whack for Utah State. Look, he's not going to light up the scoreboard. As we see, he can't shoot the ball, but he's the guy that runs his team. And the ball moves through him, and he facilitates, leads them in assists. And when you're missing that key component, I think it knocked everybody out of what their normal rhythm is.
Well, what it does, too, Roxy, it takes a lot of pressure off Stephen Ashworth. You know, when he's on the floor, Ashworth can really do his work running the baseline, coming off pin down screens, moving without the ball, dribble handoffs, and doesn't have to worry about a lot of ball handling duties on the perimeter.
Just when we thought Washington State was climbing back in, they had a 5-point possession after Max Shulga was thrown out of the game. They're arguing with the officials, a couple of technicals. But since Utah State is now on a 12-0 run, including a flagrant 2, which knocked Jabe Mullins out of the game for the Cougars.
Well, that can't be ignored. That is a huge loss for Washington State. I mean, they lean on him to do so much out on the floor, and when he left, it kind of deflated Washington State.
Kamani Winsu around and in with that finish by the freshman. Ends a 12-0 Aggies run. Utah State made 10 threes. The Aggies, Tim, they're shooting 62% from the floor in the ballgame.
And that's not a fluke. Every one of them is because of good ball movement, player movement, and sometimes high degree of difficulty.
It's what they do. They make shots. They didn't against SMU, but they're making them today against Washington State.
And again, though, their defense has been really rock solid, containing on the outside, one and done on the inside.
Foul on Trevin Dorius, and hit one for Mohamed Gay for the Cougs.
Well, Washington State, if they're going to get back into this game, they've got to go inside to Mohamed Gay. That time he did a real good job of carving out space down on the box. Now, Dorius has done a pretty good job all night long of denying him that good post position, but that time Gay got down low, and you can see what type of skill he has with both hands around the basket.
Mohamed Gay, an interesting story, as he was on the All-Pac-12 freshman team last year, and after the season, he declared for the draft, started testing the waters. Also entered the transfer portal, but then decided he wanted to come back to Washington State and play again for Kyle Smith.
It's one of the other difficult things that coaches are going through with the portal. I mean, your first reaction if someone wants to leave most of the time is, okay, go. You don't want to be here, but it's a fine line. Sometimes these kids get bad advice or just want to test, see what's out there in the portal, and that's a good story that he stayed with it.
Stephen Ashworth throws it up toward the rim, looking for Dorius, and it's batted out of there. Here comes Dylan Darling for Washington State. Open is Darling. And that three is off the mark. Had a really good look at it. And now here comes Utah State again. And stumbling, and Andre Yakimovsky pulled the chair out from underneath Daniel Atkin, and a turnover by the Aggies. And Darling forced to step on the end line, and the Cougars give it right back. It's all Utah State here in this third place game. Hawaii SMU. The championship still to come. Hawaii and the Mustangs. Santa's bringing the trophy with him on the canoe.
I like it.
Championship game coming up next from the Stan Sheriff Center on Christmas Day in Honolulu. SMU, Hawaii as the Rainbow Warriors in the championship game of this event for the first time. Best finish they've ever had is third place. Got to go back to 2014 and 2015, the last time that happened. But in the championship game for the first time. And the story of this game, though, is the efficiency for Utah State, the way they have been executing really at both ends of the floor, Tim.
Well, they've been doing it all season long. This is who they are. They share the ball. For the season, they have almost 100 more assists than turnovers, and you can see why, because skilled, unselfish, and also put in the right place through the system.
Andre Yakimovsky the rebound. Here come the Cougars. Cougs need to get it going in a hurry as TJ Bamba down the lane, and a nice finish by Bamba, who has 17 to lead Washington State.
Well, I think that's how Washington State, if they can get back in the game, that's how they have to approach it. Just space it, try to get out, transition, and really attack quickly to the rim.
Sean Bairstow blocked by Mohamed Gay. Coming over to help out is the 6'11" sophomore from Senegal. Now Mohamed Gay goes to work on the offensive end. Missed with the left hand.
Good job, though, by Akin, just to kind of hold his position down low. He's been really impressive defensively.
TJ Bamba rips it away from Stephen Ashworth, and he drops it off and lets Mohamed Gay finish it off.
Good job by Bamba, and Ashworth just kind of lost control and put it right in front of Bamba, and he picked his pocket.
Santa's little helpers over there nearly got run over. All boys out there wiping up the perspiration. They didn't anticipate it going that quickly back the other way. And now a charge against Utah State, the turnover. Watch the kids getting out of the way here. Uh-oh, here comes trouble. There they are, wiping it up.
Here they come.
Wait, there's presents over there.
Robin Gay coming. He was not to be. He wasn't slowing down for them.
Fourth foul on Daniel Atkin. Here are the kids working this Diamond Head Classic.
Working overtime, the kids, on Christmas Day.
Do you think they get time and a half on they get holiday pay?
There's some good treats in the back. That's what they get.
Gay. For Washington State, the Cougs, little 6-0 run, rather 9-0 run.
He's played well here all weekend. He's a go-to guy for Kyle Smith. He settles a little bit too much because he does have a good touch from the perimeter, but he's got an array of good moves around the basket.
Can they string some more stops together? But it goes, and Trevin Dorius has tied a career high with 12 points.
Well, that's the problem for Washington State with their defense. When Gay doesn't stay attached to Dorius, he comes over to help, and I don't think he should have helped there. He just kind of came over, but no one rotated back to cover Dorius on the backside.
5 Aggies in double figures. Andre Yakimovsky gets tied up, and the arrow goes to Washington State.
Yakimovsky, that's what he does. He puts his head down. He's trying to get to the rim as well. And Washington State tries to just come back with making threes. They're not going to get back in this game. They're going to continue to go inside.
And for Washington State, the Cougars have been dealing with injuries and illness. And one of the players that is here on the trip is battling Hodgkin's lymphoma. That's Miles Rice, who Kyle Smith thought would have a pivotal role with his team. It's TJ Bamba missing the three, but Carlos Rosario comes in from the weak side. And a player that, there is Miles Rice right there in the box. And Rosario, who's battled some injuries and illness throughout his career as well, now has a career best 7 points. But Miles Rice doing great, staying connected with this group, an integral part of this team despite going through treatments and battling Hodgkin's lymphoma. And he's doing great. And he's just so grateful to be a part of this group. And you see him, he just loves being around his team and his teammates. So without him, Deshaun Jackson, who's dealing with a medical issue as well. The low post presence that the Cougars were counting on. Those are 2 key rotation guys that Kyle Smith does not have, and I don't know if he'll get him back this year.
You know, that's one of the issues that Washington State does have. They don't have a true point guard out on to run their team, and they did. TJ Bamba would be much more comfortable away from the ball and being able to attack from the wing.
Final 3:58 coming up. Miles Rice trying to urge on his teammates. 78-64, Utah State leading. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Outrigger Hotels and Resorts. Come be here. Where else would you want to be? The island of Oahu. And look at the North Shore.
I like to be home with the kids and open up their gifts, but
you can be selfish. It's okay. You can say you want to be in Hawaii.
We did the Zoom earlier, so that was good. We'll bring them next time.
Next year.
Oh, put the good word in. I know you are the mayor of the Diamond Head Classic.
No, that's Kanoa-Leahy. Ball comes in, Andre Yakimovsky. Still to come, the championship game. Hawaii SMU as Yakimovsky comes up short from the baseline. The rebound tipped free by TJ Bamba, and then he runs over Rylan Jones. And a foul committed by Washington State. And we'll head to the other end. That puts Utah State into the bonus.
Washington State just has never got into a consistent rhythm, and some of it's self-inflicted because they just weren't moving the ball well. Their cuts weren't what they needed to be, but most of it is because Utah State's defense has been really good, and it's deflating for your offense. Sometimes when a team is coming down and just burying threes after 3.
They're 11 for 16 from 3. There's the miss by Jones, and look, I don't think anything has to do with the shirt that Kyle Smith's wearing today. That is just a phenomenal. That might be the greatest shirt ever worn by a college basketball coach on the sideline of a game.
And if this continues, it will be put to pasture. There's Gay again, though. He's got a nice touch.
Hey, look at that shirt, Tim. Honoring Hawaii. His new friend over here, Kimo, gave it to him after the Coaches versus Cancer event. I mean, a lot of times you say, oh, I'll get you a shirt. It never happens. Kimo came through, and Kyle Smith, true to his word, told Kimo, all right, you gave me that shirt, I'm wearing it. And he's wearing it today here on Christmas. What a move by Rylan Jones.
Rylan Jones at 6 feet. Down at one end, he's guarding guys 6'7". And at the other end, he's taking the ball right in the low post, right at the bigs of Washington State.
TJ Bamba resets the feet. Muhammad Gay, the offensive rebound. And the kick out. And miscommunication ends up in the Washington State bench. But Rylan Jones has been terrific for Utah State.
Change of direction, head up, slow, stop and go, and a little scoop du jour. Hawaiian style.
Remember that old N1 mixtape? That could have been right on that tape.
I'm sure he watched that a few times back in the day.
9 points, 4 assists.
With some of the older players, as his dad was a coach. He was in the locker room probably when he was about 7 years old.
Here's Jones again. Outstanding ball movement, the finish by Daniel Akin inside.
One thing is certain. If you get caught ball watching against Utah State on the weak side, your man is going to face cut you for an easy basket.
5 Aggies in double figures now. Muhammad Gay. Up jump hook by Gay.
We'll tell you this, and you and I spoke to Rob Lanier, the coach at SMU yesterday, and he was still feeling real good about the win over Utah State. Not because for his team, but he said, we beat an excellent basketball team.
They're not 10-2 by accident, and they didn't start the season 9-0 just because they lucked into it. They're the #1 3-point shooting team in America. Tremendous offensive club is Rylan Jones missing that step back. But they share the ball, the way it moves, and defensively, they're solid.
No, they're better defensively than I thought they were. I mean, today they did not relent. They put their mark on Washington State early. You see another 3 highly contested. Do a good job on the backboards. Yeah, on the season, they're +5 on the glass. And they're not really a big team, but they are feisty.
Wednesday night, an SEC college basketball doubleheader for you on ESPN2 and the app. Number 23 Auburn, Bruce Pearl, hosting Todd Golden, former assistant for Bruce Pearl, now the head coach of Florida. First game at 7 Eastern, then a couple of 11-1 teams square off as Arkansas and LSU at the Maravich Center in Baton Rouge. Should be a great night of hoops. Great finish to the Diamond Head Classic. The championship still coming here in Honolulu. Minute left, and a terrific, just a solid performance by Utah State today. In this third place game, they're going to go home 2-1, get ready for conference play in Fresno State on New Year's Eve. 5 players in double figures. The Aggies shooting 60% from the field. They have 21 assists as Muhammad Gay on a 3rd attempt and one.
Well, Steve Ashworth stepped out of the way, understanding time and score that you don't want to foul in this situation, but they let him go. He missed the shot and inadvertently was fouled by Akin, I believe.
Well, they gave it to Ashworth, and it's his 3rd. So the N1 free throws, Gay is tied a season high with 21, his career best 25 last year, and they're against their rivals in that Apple Cup against Washington. Ramen Gay, now a season best 22 after he had 21 here in the Cougars' first game over in the Islands on Thursday in their win against GW. And in danger of a 10-second call, the timeout for Utah State. 43.5 seconds to go, and with the timeout, that takes the 10-second call out of the equation. Having trouble getting it up, so Ryan Odom's team. But they were 9-0 with some solid wins, Tim. When you look at the schedule they had, beat San Diego, Steve Lavin's team on the road, beat Herb Sendek and Santa Clara, win against USF, LMU, so they were 4-0 against the West Coast Conference. And then coming over here after losing to Weber State, game on their home floor, but it seems that Utah State has found their rhythm again offensively.
Well, you just see the solid net, and they're not afraid to play people, and some really good wins. And the Weber State game, they had the lead too, and down the stretch they couldn't hold on to it. But this team is, you can see how smart they are, well schooled. And even on that last play, Ashworth understanding his situation with the clock, calling the timeout.
5 Utah State players in double figures. Crazy to think these two schools out west, the first time they've matched up against one another since 1959, the year that Hawaii became a state.
Two guys from the Northeast that know each other from UMBC and Columbia back in the day. Ryan moved to Utah State, and a terrific hire.
1-1 for Daniel Atkin with 42.2 to go.
Talk about coaches' sons. Talk about Rylan Jones. Ryan Odom. Not many guys to learn better from than his dad, Dave.
And the miss. Here comes TJ Bamba. And Bamba, the floater, rattles out. Stephen Ashworth, the rebound for Utah State. Coming up next, SMU Hawaii championship of the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic. As Utah State will just about take it all the way down. They can't milk it to 0. There's a 1-second differential as Stephen Ashworth just puts it up into the air, and that is a shot clock violation. And there's 1.4 remaining. But Utah State, Ryan Odom's team will go to 11-2 with the win. And the Cougars will regroup as TJ Bamba's layup. They'll count it. That'll be the ball game. 82-73 the final, but Utah State, we got to see it, Tim, firsthand how good they are offensively.
That's a clinic right there. Not only offensively, defensively, sharing the basketball, going inside, going outside, waiting for the defense to make a mistake, and then Utah State takes advantage and makes you pay.
Coming up next, the championship game in Honolulu, SMU and Hawaii. Mele Kalikimaka for the 50th state. We'll see you in a bit.